All right, so today I wanted to tell you something about the developer's career. This subject is very close and very personal for me, so I can have some difficulties to talk about this, but generally it was important to me to share this with you because I think I would avoid doing some mistakes if someone told me this in advance. What can happen if I make this kind of decisions instead of different decisions. And that's why it's quite personal, but at the same time it can give you some insights to developers' life and how it is all in IT and how we do it. And yeah, that's me. You know me actually. And first I want to do some overview of the market. So I want to, is there someone here who has less than one experience or no experience in programming and never was programming before? Okay, I know, Artur, you have some experience. Okay, so not many of you, but let me ask a different question. How many of you, I know, Piotr, that you hate these questions in the beginning, but how many, I want to have a feeling of the group. How many of you have more than 5 years of experience? Hands up, please. Okay, so this is the group that is probably smaller than the other group. So the group of, let's call them beginners or people who are advancing. And I want to share some research I did on that and talk about career paths and how can we advance with and try to answer this question if we can advance without burnout. So generally in the whole world, I don't know if you can probably see the slides. The numbers are that in Poland there are 250,000 developers. And at the same time, in Netherlands, there are 310,000 developers. So there are more developers in Netherlands than in Poland. Netherlands is not that small country. It has 70 million of people, but Poland has 38 million. So it's a big difference, although we are all having more and more developers here. And probably there will be still more developers. Why so? Because when we look at the survey that Stack Overflow did in 2000, this answer was in 2015. This answer was in 2017. So unfortunately, they give different spans. But generally, the further we go in the future, the more people have less than 5 years of experience, or at least they are at the same level. So this means that the industry obviously is growing and getting younger in terms of experience. So generally in the whole world we have something like 7.8 years of experience. How many of you have 7.8 years of experience or more? Please raise your hands. Look, this is something interesting, right? Because we are in Poland, and these proportions in Poland are different. This means to me and to you probably now also that we have a younger industry here in Poland, and this is confirmed with this slide too, because we have Poland has 26.7 average developer year age, and in the United States, for example, we have 31 years. And when we compare to other industries, let's say my previous industry, I was working in education, so an average teacher had 14 years of experience. So can you imagine how different is this? Well, now something serious. Now something serious. What is the average salary? The average salary globally for JavaScript is $56,000 a year, and for TypeScript is $60,000 a year. There are also technologies where you have greater gratification. There are also differences between countries, obviously, and in the United States you have something like $100 $100,000 per year for developers. So it's much greater in the United States. But why I say all this? Because I want just to show you that the industry is growing, and it's growing faster in Poland, and we have plenty of beginners, and it's probably a good idea to start a career in IT. So, if you start a career, you might probably consider a plan for it. Not many people believe in this. For example, today I talked to my friend, and he said, I asked him a question, Łukasz, what do you think? What can we do to plan? Can we plan our career? How can we plan our career? And he answered, I have a great answer for this question. It's impossible. You can't plan your career, and I know why he said this, because this is a chaotic system, and it's chaotic system level 2. Chaotic system level 1 is a chaotic system where you can just observe chaos, and you can when you do something, nothing happens. But in chaotic systems number 2, when you level 2, when you try to react to the situation and do presumptions and observations about the situation, you also influence the system. So it's never possible to make any meaningful predictions about the future in this kind of systems. Well, anyway, so how to begin if you can do no predictions and you actually are playing with chance? Well, people finish studies, for example. People prepare well with boot camps, learning a very particular skill. It was also my example. I learned Ruby on Rails the hard way, and it was very, very focused on only this technology, which I think boot camps are strong in. Or just have a path, learn on your own and try to develop on your own. And just code a lot. Everything, always coding is learning too, and that's probably the best, most effective way. Anyway, so how can we plan? What's the best idea for development career? What kind of progress can we believe in? How can we see that the career is going forward, or at least there's happening something to it. So first of all, obviously we can measure it in our programming skills. When we look behind and see our code from a year ago, we probably see how much we progress. So usually people say, it's impossible. It's not my code. It's they write git blame to check if it's there. We can also progress in positions. So there are senior developers, there are CTOs, there are project managers, and people who want to progress in the vertical way. We can progress obviously in earning, and that's a very easy thing to measure, right? We have more money this month than the last one. And obviously, yeah, that's something. It's completely immeasurable, but on the other side, it's something we all know we need to exercise, because the more we code and the more we focus on into ourselves, the more we have problems with communication. And everyone wants to progress with their better lives. So I would ask the question: what's the cost of this progress we want to have? Are there any downside? Is there the other side of it? And I believe there is, because when we develop our programming skills, we take a risk that maybe this technology is not going to be very popular in the future. For example, I did this with Ember.js, and it lost actually popularity since 2014 and 15 when I started to learn it. due to React and Angular. We also should know that rising in position or advancing in this way, we have more responsibilities. And obviously, more earning means more expectations from the boss. So this means that everything has its downsides. And the last question. It's not a joke, actually. So career paths. When I observe my friends, they usually follow some kind of pattern like this. For example, finish studies, go to the US, change your job a few times, get a rise and shares, and then go back to Poland and start your business. And that's very popular, I think, among students or skilled students among Polish universities and other schools, or even not schools. They just go to the West to have better money and return to start their families, for example. Another pattern sounds more like my pattern, that you finish studies in a different field, then you finish a boot camp, then you get your first job as an intern and try to change your work only when it's necessary and advance gradually with accepting promotions. Well, that accepting promotions I want to emphasize, because maybe it's not always the best idea. Finish studies, create software product, and be the victim of your own success. So create an app that is going to give you annual or monthly income, but you actually can't. It actually stops you, because then if it's not a global success, you can be just in the middle. So it's a pity to close it, but it's too little to feel that my career has already finished. So the usual dilemmas that you have, dilemmas. Sorry, it's wrong pronunciation. As a programmer, I always had this, and I don't want to give you any solutions. Maybe I can confront you with some questions that you can ask yourself all the time, just to remind you this and to give you a minute for a reflection. So, what is better, to develop in one company, to stay in one company, or change the company so that you get more external boost? Corporations or maybe small businesses? A corporation on one side, maybe the path can be longer, but on the other side, maybe impossible to make. Product companies, or maybe services. A product company creates their own product. They have, for example, a chicken that lays golden eggs. I don't know if it's the right translation, but anyway, it's a product can give profits for the whole company, and the work in this kind of company is much different to a service company, where you confront yourself with plenty of different projects, and you don't have one project that actually you develop to the depth. And investing in particular technology only, like actually I realized that I could invest all the time, all my 6+ years of experience into Ruby on Rails. It will be possible. Ruby is still there and is well. Or try to change the technology to the most trending, to the most profitable, which actually I don't know what Clojure is. What was the best one now? So going full stack, or maybe stay on the front end. That's also a question to you. Develop skills every day, or develop skills for your future possibilities and opportunities. Well, that's probably you agree with me. Is it too modest to have a rise once a year or more often? What do you think? I don't know. I think I got once a year at least. It was good. Okay, so that's something I beg you, please. when I look at my CV and I see that 1 year I changed my job 3 times, Doesn't make sense, really. Because an easy way is to change the job. That's an industry problem, but it's much easier to change your job than to work at your workplace and have gradual improvement. That's something. There was some kind of survey on one of the famous Polish user groups on that, and most developers said that that's the biggest problem of industry. But the best is forbidden. That's actually my son who is playing with the fuses, you know, and that's obviously the best fun to do that because he's not allowed to do it at home, obviously. So, mouse hard, planning the end on the beginning. How can we plan it? I don't know. We can't, but maybe we can have a vision at least, an idea. If we want to progress always, because it's not possible to progress always, especially in such field which is extremely competitive, very demanding if it comes to intellectual skills. So I think it's the decline is much closer than most of us think in the beginning. So we can, like in a marathon, we need to save our energy. Good practices list. How's my time? Ah, okay. Good practices list. I will just go very fast through it. So be patient. Be patient. Always be patient. Take your time when you learn something. Repeat because then you can forget. We always want to go forward and take another thing to learn, another thing. But in my case, it's always that I have too little patience and I want to progress too much. So that's the best point to me, to help others in return, because I got a lot of help in the beginning, and I think it's a very, very good indicator of the success if we help in return, because sometimes we help, we also initiate that, and that's something amazing about communities like Warsaw Ruby Users Group or WarsawJS or other many communities in Warsaw, where people just help, and that's why I like that very much in the beginning. Here is advice that gave me my friend who is having birthday actually today. He told me that always insure yourself with fuck you money. Fuck you money is a special, an expert term for money for the next month you're going to be paid. Because when you save this kind of money, you can easily say bad words to your boss when he demands from you too much, and this gives you a more relaxed position. And then, well, I'm very serious about this, because otherwise you got stressed, and when you got stressed, you're not going to find a job easily, because there will be intellectually demanding tasks to do. The interview exercises, right? Codility, lead code, I don't know, what? Dev skill. They're all difficult. There are difficult tasks. Parse B3 and find the closest common ancestor. Who can do it? Just by, you have 1 hour for that. So go social. You can try it with WarsawJS, for example. And look, this column is corresponding to the things I said. For example, here we can get support and give support in return, like people here are asking, hey, can you explain me Flux architecture, or can you tell me how can I use this, how this React hooks are better than the previous solutions. So all of these questions have answers here in this room. So when you attend as a speaker, volunteer, or trainer, you also prepare yourself to this. So you advance, because you need to transfer this knowledge to another person. Last time on WarsawJS, someone mentioned that Fineman had this amazing trick that he always learned everything just having in his head that, hey, I will tell this to the junior programmer later, and this made him think about this what he was learning in a more structured and better way. So this is a way to practice your skills, and obviously doing it socially, you can improve your social contacts and network, which will be something you will need. My story. First of all, strong support from Vrook. Thank you, Piotr. Are you there? You're here. So thank you very much for coming. I want to mention that Rebased was also a sponsor of WarsawJS for the first 2 years. Although you never guess, Rebased didn't hire JavaScript programmers. Can you imagine? Thank you so much for that. I want to cry, sorry. So the organizer, then I thought, hey, let's do the same thing. We all of us saw Vrook. Piotr and Kasia were also attending. Sometimes they saw Vrook and they thought, hey, that's a great inspiration. And we did actually the JavaScript meetup in the same place at Państwo Miasto. And we organized WarsawJS Meetup and then workshops, and we continued this idea. So we gave that back, that support we got, or were giving all the time, and I tried my best as a speaker, trainer, and mentor. And later I worked in a product company for 2 years, and Artur, who is also here and was also supporting WarsawJS workshops for over 2 years, and our hackathon, thank you for that, was also my boss once, and I learned a lot of React then. And then I decided that I needed some change. I wanted to work in a bigger group of people, like 50 people were in, or are now in App and Roll, where I work currently, and I thought, wow, it's amazing. They also had their own products, inside products, and they wanted really they still want to conquer the world, to have the cell phone that is going to be sold all over the world and has less radiation and is not abusive, doesn't give you push notifications. A stupid phone, what a great idea. Go back to Nokia 3210, and actually it's very reasonable, because technology is really too addictive now for us. So Up and Roll had this idea. I was there for 3 months and 4 months actually, and accepted and accepted promotion to the CTO. So I got so amazed. I got this so strong boost that I thought, wow, now I need to be perfect and everything. I will learn everything about leadership, about things, how to run your developers team in the best way. That was something I dreamed of, and after a year, I got burnout, and I think I still suffer from that. That was terrible. So yes, I thought, well, together we decided that with such a burnout I can't continue as a CTO, and I was back at dev. But why burnout? Feeling bad about slow progress. I thought progress must be much faster, must be much better. The whole company was growing and doing very important change in the world, and too high expectations from that coming, being very reluctant to say no to anything, and terrible work and life balance. I hope my wife can hear me. I'm sorry. So, yeah, couldn't find myself recently as a regular developer. That's the thing. When you once advance in the company, it's very hard. It's absolutely impossible to go back. I tried. I couldn't really. I couldn't. This week I resigned from my work there at Up and Roll. Although I really love that place, and I think the people who are there are absolutely amazing. But I couldn't find myself in this situation, and now I decided to start to join a company that is totally brand new, and its name is Xfang. We are going to start from the very beginning, and I hope it's the best way I can handle now my burnout, just to boost back again, and maybe have again terrible work and life balance, but they say it's homeopathy to cure yourself, but your own poison. I don't know. Anyway, it sounds paradoxical. That's probably not the worst thing I will say today to you, because the worst thing is today that I was thinking this. Thank you. Thank you, Krzysztof, for this picture. That was what I was thinking about. That's not the best idea anyway. to lead in all of it: React, JavaScript, Angular, and JSON. What I want to say to you, when you got promoted, please don't read books. Just don't. That's a mistake. Examples of books that are making your burnout easier are Measure What Matters, Superhuman by Habit, Start With Why, When. All of these books made my suffering more terrible, because I was thinking, oh my God, I need to introduce this idea. I need to make this idea also. I'm doing mistakes here and there, and also don't be a perfectionist at the same time. So obviously this system can't cure itself. It's impossible. Doctor, you can't cure yourself. So there were exceptions that made my burnout easier, like, for example, rest or deep work. But these were exceptions. Other sources. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Could you make this microphone a little louder, trochę głośniej, delikatnie? To już? To jest max? Okay, luckily I have a strong voice. Piotr, we're going to take some questions if anyone has any questions. We have about 5 minutes if anyone has any questions for Piotr. 1 second.
I have a question. You mentioned that after getting promoted, you found it very hard to work a normal developer job. Would you say it's just at this company that inside the Up and Roll you found it hard, or would you find it in general after being a CTO? Would you find being a normal developer at any other company problematic?
That's a very good question. I asked this question to myself, and my honest answer is I don't know how I would find myself as a developer in a different company. I don't want to check it because I already tried it Up and Roll. But obviously, being in the same company, stepping back in the same company must be always to me it was a very hard experience, maybe because of my ego, but it's also I believe it's a common knowledge that it's a bad idea, but I wanted also to try it, so that was something.
Next question.
Okay, you were speaking about the burnout and things that doesn't help with the burnout. But actually, how did you manage to fight the burnout, and some advice to that?
Okay, so the obvious things that show you that you have this burnout is that for instance. you can't stop thinking about work, but you still feel that you didn't work enough because you feel guilty that your work was bad, and you also feel that you're not satisfied, so you constantly have the worst day in your job over time every day, for example, right? So it's, if it happens like this, that's an obvious indicator. Support is needed. That's it, I think.
Sorry, I have a question. What type of support will help you when you're in that situation and burnout?
Psychological support, professional support. I'm seriously, really.
Now that is some heavily stressful work. I mean, you're talking about really high level stress. Anybody else have another question for Piotr? Are we sure? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Zientara, for sure.